What's up? So, this is kind of a crazy story, and this is back from my days as a teenager who was abusing everything under the sun, any intoxicant I could get my hand on, and at the time, I had staph-infection and staphylococcus bacteria. It's all over the human dermis. I think it is over at least like 97% of the human body, and it's actually a good bacteria for the most part. But the thing is, it can turn on the body if there's a hole burrowed through your skin, and the staphylococcus bacteria gets into that hole, and so that's what happened to me somehow, some way. I remember I was taking a shower, and then I came out and noticed boils quickly started forming all over my body. And I'm talking like bubonic plague, like fucking they're like this. Like pussy, scabby, disgusting. There's at least 6 of them on my face. And then all over the rest of my body. I thought I was going to be scarred for life. I thought I was going to look like Charles fucking Bukowski. And in addition, it felt like I had the flu for, like a very, very bad flu for the duration of it. And this was around the time where I started messing around with needles and stuff. So I had this sort of sugar mama friend who was a much older lady who bought me a lot of stuff. She didn't try to sleep with me like the other drug dealer friend, ex, who was, oh god, she's a horrible person, but I've got another video on that. This person though, she was very kind to me. I mean, she was pretty, and I think still is a pretty heavy drug user. I've never seen anyone smoke so much meth as she does, but she's like oddly very functional for a meth head, and she sell very pricey pharmaceuticals. Like she knew like airline attendants and stuff like that who would bring in oxys, like abusable oxys from Australia and stuff like that. So after 2.5 weeks of like dealing with this and recovering, I was like, oh fuck, this is just awful. I don't want to deal with this anymore. So I call her up and I'm like, you know what, I need some Dilaudid, because this is back when I had no opioid tolerance. So injecting an 8 milligram Dilaudid was, it was a hell of a high for me. Only lasted about 3 hours, but felt quite good. I mean, William Burroughs raves about Dilaudid in his books. He refers to them as blues. If you've seen the movie Drugstore Cowboy, when they talk about blues, they're talking about Dilaudid. But Dilaudid now, interestingly enough, is like it's if I was to ask my doctor next time I saw him for a prescription, saying, "Oh, I'm craving opiates," he would give me Dilaudid. Like this started happening when COVID began. I guess with some sort of means to get people off of fentanyl. Like they even had a vending machine that people could go to get Dilaudid. Now that everyone's hooked on fentanyl, no one wants to take them because they're not very powerful. And if you're on something like methadone, like I am, they don't really do anything to you. But at the time, they did. And I remembered how codeine gave me immense relief when I had it was similar to salmonella, Campylobacter, and I was shitting blood every 5 minutes. So I thought, oh, this will give me some relief too. And so she drove up to my house with her husband, and she was like, okay, here's your Dilaudid, and she's like, here's something extra. And she tosses this piece of paper out the window. I was like, oh, what the fuck? And I'm like, oh, it's just a rolling paper. And she drives off, opened it up, and there's like 6 hits of like crumpled up acid inside. I imagine it's acid she probably had but didn't sell or dropped on the floor or something. So it wasn't in like the best shape possible, but for some reason I decided to take it, and despite looking like a leper, you know, like if you Google the the band Death, their album Leprosy, the person on the cover looked very similar to what I looked like then, and I mean, I'm just amazed I took such a high dose of LSD, because it felt like it ended up being like 400 micrograms or something that I had taken. It was a pretty heavy dose. Like I remember seeing like a pink spider-like thing just in the corner, like just, you know, spiders when they're against the wall, they have their legs up against the wall, like they're about to either run at you and fight. But it wasn't menacing, interestingly enough. You know, I can't stand needles when I do most psychedelics, but somehow I was able to inject Dilaudid throughout this trip, and that may have been partially why I wasn't fazed by, you know, what would otherwise be the weight of a psychedelic, and especially seeing myself in such a grotesque form. Like, it didn't bother me. I remember looking in the mirror and it didn't bother me. But I would probably say that was more a result of not so much the Dilaudid dulling the introspective sort of weighty headspace of a heavy LSD dose. It was more so that I was a teenager, and I had this childlike mentality, so I had no sense of existential dread or fear of ego death or anything like that. Because at the time when I did psychedelics, it was like, if I'm going to do acid, I have to do at least 300 micrograms. If I do mushrooms, I have to do at least 6 grams of mushrooms. Like, to me at the time, it was just like, it was like taking a ride at a theme park. The ride may have some consequences, some small, almost just so minute, it's implausible risk of, you know, the ride going off the rails and there being an accident that hurts you or someone else. But, you know, oh well, that risk is worth taking. You rationalize that to yourself. And to me, at the time, I was legitimately abusing psychedelics because, well, they were an escape. They were an entertaining escape, a trip through fucking Candyland, basically. And, somehow I managed to have a good time, despite all that. And, it's interesting, not long after, the staph-infection did clear up, and it healed, those boils, they healed perfectly. I mean, if they didn't, I would look very, very disfigured today. I'd have, as I said, Bukowski-like pockmarks all over my face and the rest of my body. But, I know. Luckily, that didn't happen. Still was a very unpleasant experience, I must say. It's just, you know, kind of a crazy story, and I remember, you know, the visuals were very intense, but as I said, there was no real headspace, and I injected Dilaudid probably about 3 times over the span of that trip, because Dilaudid only lasts about 2-3 hours, you know, if it does have an effect on you. LSD lasts about 12 hours if you're taking a heavy dose like that. It baffles me that I was able to do that back then. without consequence. Yeah, no, I was. So, yeah, there you go. There's another kooky story from my past for you.